This is the voice of the Lord, your God, my beloved child. Listen carefully if you trust in God. Type Amen. Archangel Michael says, don't ignore this. Someone who hurt you is still hiding something, but this isn't about revenge. It's about release. You didn't ask for the pain. You didn't see it coming. You didn't expect that someone so close, someone you trusted, someone you loved, would break something so sacred, your peace. But they did. Quietly. Slowly. Not always with words, but with actions that didn't match them. With energy that told the truth long before their mouth ever did. And still, you stayed kind. You stayed loyal. You stayed quiet, not because you didn't see it, but because your heart wanted to believe something better was underneath. You gave them chances. You gave them grace. You gave them time. And even now, part of you still wonders, did they ever understand what they did to me? Archangel Michael stands beside you today. Not with a sword drawn in anger, but with hands open in truth. He comes not to fight for you, but to remind you that you don't have to fight anymore. Because what you couldn't see before, is gently revealing itself now. That person who betrayed you, they feel it now. The weight of it. The space you used to fill. The love you gave so freely. The peace they once had access to through your presence. And now? Now they feel the absence. Not always in ways they'll admit out loud. But in their own quiet moments, they know they lost something real. Something rare. But this message isn't about them. It's about you. You're not here to chase closure. You're not here to force confessions. You're not here to wait for someone to explain what their silence already said. You're here because heaven wants to remind you, the truth has already done its job. You don't need to be bitter to be wise. You don't need revenge to be free. You just need clarity. And that clarity is arriving now. Yes, they're hiding something. Not necessarily in a manipulative way, but in a fearful one. They're still not ready to face the full truth. The part of them that knows they failed you still can't speak honestly. Not because you're not worthy of honesty, but because they're still learning how to be honest with themselves. You've sensed it. In their tone. In their timing. In the way their words feel like a performance instead of presence. You're not crazy. You were never crazy. What you felt was real. What you suspected was real. And now, heaven is confirming it gently, not to stir you, but to settle you. Because you don't need their truth to know your own. You don't need their apology to begin your healing. You've already begun. You've already done more inner work than they may ever realize. You've already grown into someone who doesn't need answers to keep moving, because you've become the answer to your own peace. They are desperate now. Not because they want to harm you again, but because they feel the gap your spirit left when you walked away. Because energy doesn't lie. And no one can replace the presence of someone who loved them with pure intentions. That's what they miss. That's what they still don't know how to name. But don't let their confusion distract you from your clarity. Don't let their mixed signals pull you back into old patterns. Don't mistake their return for reconciliation. You're not bitter. You're not cold. You're simply awake now. And that awakening is not anger. It's alignment. This is your reminder that what's behind you no longer defines you. That betrayal is not the headline of your story, it's just a footnote. You are not what they did. You are what you've done since. Grow, rise, soften, expand. You don't need to confront them. You don't need to expose them. You don't need to fix anything they broke. That's not your job anymore. Your only job now is to protect your peace, keep your heart open to what's real, and move forward with grace that's no longer confused for permission. The truth is, you were never too much. You were too honest for someone still hiding from themselves. Let that truth set you free, quietly, fully, beautifully. Because what's ahead of you is more honest, more aligned, more full of people who don't flinch when they're faced with love. People who see you, who match your energy, who bring peace, not confusion. And the one who betrayed you, they'll always feel what they couldn't keep. But you? You'll feel something far more powerful, peace that doesn't need anything from them to exist. There comes a point in your life when you stop asking, "Why did they do this to me?" and start asking, "Why did I keep allowing myself to carry it for so long?" That's not self-blame. That's awakening. That's the quiet truth that rises inside you when the fog clears, when the emotion settles, and you finally see things, not through the lens of pain, but through the lens of peace. You're not angry anymore. You're just done. Done chasing answers. Done hoping someone else will finally give you the closure they had every chance to offer. Done carrying the weight of things that were never yours to hold in the first place. What they did may have hurt you, but it doesn't define you. And just because they're desperate now doesn't mean it's your responsibility to go backwards. They feel the shift. The silence. The absence. They feel the difference in your energy, the part of you that used to question yourself, that used to soften your boundaries, that used to overgive just to hold the peace together. That part of you has evolved. It's not cold. It's clear. It's not rude. It's real. You no longer need to fix what was never broken in you. You've stopped showing up in places where love was one-sided, where honesty was replaced by charm, where loyalty was taken as a weakness. And now they don't know how to respond, not because you've changed into someone else, but because you've finally come home to who you really are. Archangel Michael stands with you now, not as a warrior to destroy what was, but as a witness to what is being rebuilt. He sees the parts of you that were left out of the story. The intentions you held. The tears you never showed. The way you loved with your whole heart, even when the energy was not being matched. This is not about revenge. This is about recognition. You were never too much. You were just more than they were ready for. And now that you've pulled your energy back, they're trying to return, not always with truth, but with a feeling of loss they don't know how to explain. But don't get caught in the pattern. Don't let guilt confuse you into thinking their pain is your responsibility. They still haven't said everything. They still haven't faced themselves. And you? You're finally breathing differently. Sleeping deeper. Laughing a little more. That's growth. That's grace. That's what happens when you choose yourself after years of feeling like you had to be the one to carry the weight of everyone else's silence. The truth they're still hiding may not even be cruel. It may simply be that they're still afraid of being seen, of being honest, of admitting they were never ready for the kind of love you offered. But that doesn't mean you wait. That doesn't mean you pause your joy for someone who still doesn't know what to do with it. The chapter has already closed. And you're not bitter. You're just not going back. Peace doesn't always come from understanding everything. Sometimes it comes from understanding yourself. Knowing your heart. Knowing your limits. Knowing that you've already done your part. That's where you are now, in the quiet center of your own healing. No longer fighting to be understood, no longer begging for clarity, just being. And in that being, the right things begin to find you. The real ones stay. The honest ones speak. The safe ones don't make you guess. And the one who once betrayed you? They'll come around. Maybe not in the way you expect. Maybe not with the words you deserve. But their soul knows. Their spirit remembers. They may still be hiding the truth from you, but they can't hide it from themselves forever. Truth always finds its way out, not to destroy, but to clear the air, to make space for better. So keep walking. With a soft heart and strong steps. You're not here to prove your worth to anyone. You're not here to reopen wounds that have already healed. You're not here to shrink so someone else can feel secure. You're here to live. To feel free. To finally rest in the truth that what's meant for you doesn't come with confusion, and what left you wasn't meant to stay any longer. The peace you feel now? That's your closure. The strength in your boundaries? That's your protection. The clarity in your heart? That's your confirmation. And Archangel Michael is standing beside you in every step, not to defend your past, but to clear your path. You are not what they did to you. You are what you chose to become after. There's a strange kind of ache that lives in the space between what we feel and what was never said. That silence, that heaviness, that lingering energy, it's not confusion. It's your intuition remembering what your mind has tried to forget. You didn't imagine it. You didn't overreact. You just saw the truth too soon, before they were ready to admit it, and before you were ready to accept it. That's why it still feels unfinished. But here's what Archangel Michael wants you to know: you don't need every answer to heal. What's still hidden isn't meant to haunt you. It's meant to remind you that your soul is wiser than you give it credit for. You saw it. You felt it. You knew it, and you didn't need the full story to feel the shift. What you were sensing wasn't paranoia. It was clarity arriving before proof ever did. The person who betrayed you still carries their truth like a weight, not just about what they did, but about what they were never honest enough to say. They didn't tell you the whole story. Not because you couldn't handle it, but because they couldn't. And now, as your energy has shifted, as your peace has deepened, they feel it. The distance. The disconnect. The silence they once controlled has now turned into a mirror. And in that mirror, they're starting to see themselves, maybe for the first time. But you're not responsible for their reflection. You're not here to rescue them from the truth they ran from. You're not here to piece together a puzzle you were never meant to complete. You're here for something greater: your peace, your freedom, your forward motion. You didn't get this far just to stand still in someone else's shadows. You're not waiting for them to catch up. You're already walking forward, not because you've hardened, but because you've healed. You've stopped assigning value to apologies that never came. You've stopped needing permission to move on. And maybe the final piece of this chapter isn't another conversation, or a confession, or some dramatic moment of realization. Maybe the final piece is simply this: you realizing you never needed anything more than the truth you already held in your own heart. Because the truth has never been about proving someone wrong. It's about finally being able to stand in the full light of what you've always known, and say, "I believe myself now." And that belief? It's sacred. It's the turning point. The moment where you reclaim all the energy you gave trying to explain what your spirit already understood. The moment where you stop fighting to be seen, and start walking like someone who knows they're never invisible to heaven. Archangel Michael has never left your side. He's watched you hold yourself together in moments that should have broken you. He's watched you choose softness when bitterness would have been easier. He's watched you stay silent, not because you didn't know what to say, but because you knew your peace mattered more than being right. And now, he stands beside you not to say, "I told you so," but to whisper, "It's time. You can let go now." The truth did what it needed to do: it brought you home to yourself. The person who hurt you may never be ready to speak their full truth. But you don't need it to live yours. You're not waiting anymore. You're creating now. From a deeper place. A more whole place. And that's the most powerful response of all, not proving, not punishing, but rising. You're not bitter. You're not broken. You're just done giving your light to people who hide from their own. And if the truth they're still holding comes out one day, you'll receive it with grace, not because you need it, but because you've already moved beyond it. You didn't get closure from them. You got clarity from within. And that was always enough. There's a quiet power in choosing peace over closure. In walking away, not because you're weak, but because you finally understand your worth. You didn't leave because you were afraid. You left because you were done giving parts of yourself to someone who didn't know how to honor them. And while they may still be hiding truths, still crafting stories, still unsure how to face their own reflection, you are finally free. Not because they gave you anything, but because you stopped needing what was never real. This isn't about blaming them anymore. It's about blessing the version of you that waited. The one who loved without conditions. The one who hoped things would change. The one who stood in the fire with loyalty and heart. That version of you deserved better. And now, you're becoming the person who gives them that. Your present self is the answer to your past self's silent prayers. Archangel Michael has watched you carry that betrayal in your chest like a stone, replaying moments that didn't make sense, trying to decode words that felt hollow, questioning whether the love was ever real. But here's the deeper truth: even if their love was broken, yours was real. Your intention was real. Your loyalty was real. And nothing they did can take that away from you. There's nothing left for you to prove. Not to them. Not to anyone. You've shown your heart, your resilience, your willingness to forgive, your strength in silence. And now the universe, heaven itself, is responding to that energy. Not with revenge, but with restoration. Not with exposure, but with elevation. Your peace is the proof that you've outgrown their chaos. And yes, part of them still feels it. Not always consciously. But they feel the shift. They feel what it's like to be on the other side of your boundaries. They may reach out. They may pretend nothing happened. Or they may say too little, too late. But none of that holds power anymore, because you're not looking for apologies to unlock your future. You've already opened the door. And you are already walking through it. The truth that's still being hidden, it doesn't need to hurt you anymore. It doesn't need to be solved or exposed. Because what's more powerful than knowing everything, is being so aligned with yourself that you no longer need the noise. You don't need to make them understand. You don't need to return to the past for validation. Your life now is evidence. Evidence that healing is possible. That rising is real. That not every ending is loss, some are redirections. And this one? It was divine. They didn't just leave you in confusion. They left you with a mission, to return to yourself. To remember your voice. To rebuild your light. And now look at you, you're not bitter, you're wiser. You're not closed, you're guarded with love. You're not lost, you're finally found within. So if you feel a wave of emotion rise when you think about it, let it. Don't push it away. That's not weakness. That's your spirit clearing space. Because what's coming now is peace. Real peace. Not the kind you fake to keep people comfortable. The kind that doesn't need explanation. The kind that feels like home inside your own chest. Archangel Michael stands by your side, not as a warrior anymore, but as a witness. A witness to your rebirth. A witness to your soft, steady return to the life you were always meant to live, full of truth, full of heart, full of love that doesn't make you question your worth. You didn't lose them. You didn't fail. You didn't break. You outgrew the version of you that accepted less than love. And now, love, in its realest form, is coming back to find you. There's nothing left to chase now. Not their version of the story. Not the apology that never came. Not the missing pieces of the truth they couldn't face. Because something far more powerful has already arrived, your peace. Not the loud kind, not the dramatic kind. The quiet kind. The kind that walks in unannounced, after the tears have dried, after the questions have gone quiet, and says, "You made it. You didn't lose. You learned." And that was always enough. Archangel Michael doesn't stand behind you now to protect. He stands beside you to celebrate. To honor the fact that you didn't let bitterness harden you. That you didn't let betrayal define you. That you still chose softness. That you still choose love, but now, the kind that doesn't make you shrink. The kind that begins with yourself. The person who betrayed you will continue their own journey. Their healing is their own to face. Their silence is theirs to carry. And maybe one day, they'll understand what they lost. Maybe they already do. But it no longer holds weight. Because the truth is no longer tangled inside you. It's settled. Not because you got closure from them, but because you became closure for yourself. You've outgrown the version of you that waited for permission to be free. You've outgrown the spaces where your voice had to be soft to be heard. And now you're walking with something no one can take, self-trust. The knowing that what you gave was real. That what you felt was sacred. That what you lost wasn't actually a loss, it was a return. A return to your own intuition. A return to your own strength. A return to your true path, where no betrayal can block your blessings, and no hidden secret can delay what's divinely yours. What they hid, heaven saw. What they distorted, time corrected. And what they couldn't honor in you, is now being honored by life itself. Everything is aligning again. Not because you forced it, but because you surrendered. You let go of needing to control the outcome. You let go of needing to be understood by someone who didn't even understand themselves. And in that letting go, your peace rushed in. Swift. Silent. Strong. This final part of your journey isn't about looking back. It's about looking around, and seeing how far you've come. Seeing how your heart, though bruised, still knows how to love with depth. Seeing how your spirit, though tested, still stands tall. Seeing how your future, once uncertain, is now unfolding in perfect timing. You've already been rewarded, not just with the calm in your soul, but with the clarity in your vision. You no longer crave what confused you. You no longer miss what mistreated you. And that shift? That's not loss. That's evolution. Archangel Michael now watches over a version of you that no longer breaks when the past knocks. A version of you that smiles without needing to explain. A version that radiates peace, not because life is perfect, but because your heart finally knows who it is. You've walked through fire and came out golden. You felt betrayal and still chose compassion. You've lost people and still didn't lose yourself. That's what makes you rare. That's what makes you free. That's what makes you ready for what's next. If you believe in God, type Amen or 444 or 555 or 000 111. Subscribe for more videos.